Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Speedrunning with Space Cat. Today, what we're going to be studying is how to make the perfect vocal chain. All right? So, let's kind of go over what we've learned so far here. So, within the entire chain, right? Here's what we got going on. So, first things first, we got audits in. Then I believe it probably goes to Melodyne. Then we have two modes of thinking here. We either have EQ, subtractive EQ, that then goes into some kind of compression, and then into some kind of, what was it? It was like a multi-band compressor. Then there was from what I saw, there was saturators. And then at the end of their chain, a lot of them had so I feel like exciters are similar to saturators, right? And then de-essers. And I personally think that the chain should end with a limiter, and then the bus, reverb, plus sidechain, and bus 2, reverb, sorry, delay, plus sidechain, and then bus 3, parallel, compression, and bus 4. I like using some kind of chorus, Wurlitzer, or yeah, something stereo, like a stereo enhancer or something like that. I feel like the bugs. I hate Tennessee. I feel like the this Melodyne I need to get better at making using Melodyne. I need to understand what some of these compressors in like pretty much all of them use Pro 3, Pro Q for this. But for the compressor I saw LA2A, and then I saw a lot of 1176 gray. And then the multiband was the 404 that I saw. And the saturator. What did I see for a saturator? It's like a tube emulator or a tape emulator. I used Studer. DS. Pro DS. Limiter. I like the LA 2A. So I feel like what I would like to get better at is like my goal here. Let me type the goal. Goal for the stream. Our goal is learn. Um, it's so hard to say because it's like I know, obviously, I understand compression. I know how to use compression, but what I want to know is how to learn. I want to learn how to really perfect my Pro DS. Um, and I'd like to maybe learn some more mixing theory, but let's start with the bright vocals thing. How to tame.
Can I tell you who I want on this couch? I want Tizio on this couch. Let me tell you why. There is one secret that I want to know from this man. I've been listening to a lot of his records lately. I've been using them as references. What Tizio is doing to high end is messing with my head. He's completely reconfigured my brain on high end. I hear it. It is newer mixes. And it made me change a few things. You remember that parallel harmonic saturation aux that I have? On that aux, I have an Aphex oral exciter. I have the NB2. I'm rolling off all of the low end, a DS. I'm literally creating this.
Aphex oral exciter. Pause. The hell? LV2? That it said?
This super controlled, super bright, high-end parallel that I blend in with anything that I want. I have taken that and went extreme with it and found a spot where it's so clean and smooth. Dog, when I throw this thing up now, it literally just makes the vocal feels like a butterfly. Feels like it just blooms. My vocal gets so smooth. Even the harshness, it goes like out the window. It's weird, but I want to know his secret. Tizio, please, man, come sit. What's up?
I feel like soothe. It's good. Maybe this is a good setup for this because I'll put down all like the good compressors and stuff. So what the fuck is that Aphex oral exciter?
What's up? Just pull up. Can I tell you who I want on this couch? I want Tizio on this couch. Let me tell you why. There is one secret that I want to know from this man. I've been listening to a lot of his records lately. I've been using them as references. What Tizio is doing to high end is messing with my head. He's completely reconfigured my brain on high end. I hear it. It is newer mixes. And it made me change a few things. You remember that parallel harmonic saturation aux that I have? On that aux, I
Parallel harmonic saturation. Okay, so parallel saturation is kind of like saying cold ice cream because saturation is already by design giving balanced harmonics. So by saying a harmonic saturator. It's kind of like saying cold ice cream. It's kind of just like it's like redundant. But the parallel part of it is he's saying he has a bus where he's taking the signal from the vocal and he's making it just a bus that's just bright as fuck. Just has hella harmonics, super bright, super saturated, super excited, so that he can then, if he wants to add some brightness, just pull up that fader, which I is a cool method for sure. I would be curious as to think of if there was any phase issues. That's always my concern with it, doing any type of parallel compression or any type of busing or anything like that is what kind of phase interaction is going to be happening with your plugins within your bus with your lead main. Are you keeping your lead main still having stereo information, or is it mono? Like, I'd be curious to see what some of these producers do with that. Because for me, sometimes what I'll do is I'll take my lead, I'll make it as mono as possible, and then I'll put all of my stereo stuff, my reverbs, my choruses, my delays, and I'll put all of that in my buses. Wonder if there's a way I can draw. We make it bold. We make this bold. Made that bold. Okay. Uh, Pull tech I've seen people use. So this is Aphex Oral Exciter. I said oral exciter. Wow, I was off. Holy fuck, my bad. Yikes. I didn't even know this was a word. Arroyo. I think it's arroyo, right? Because it's like aura. Arroyo. Oral? Dude, I don't even know.
I have an Aphex Oral Exciter. I have the NB2.
MV2. I just put LV2. What the fuck is an MV2? The fuck? Waves MV2 compressor. Holy shit, it's 30 freaking $4 right now. Holy shit. Okay, what the heck does it even do?
Today I want to talk about one of my favorite compressors that helps me get started when I'm crafting just about any vocal sound. And I think that it's one of the most underrated compressor plugins out there. It's extremely easy to use, it doesn't color the sound very much, and just allows me to get where I need to go while starting to shape a vocal sound. And what I'm talking about today is the Waves MV2. Now, the reason that it helps shape a vocal sound so well, because it uses a combination of high level and low level compression. In today's video, I'm going to talk about what high level and low level compression are and how they work together.
The only difference between high level and low level compression is just the ratio of what it's compressing. So, saying with the amount of decibels that exceeds the threshold, how aggressively is it pulling it down? Is essentially the level of compression, right?
In this plugin, when this compressor is useful, when it's not, and then I'll show you the interface and how to get started using it. Now, I will say right out of the gate, this can be used on more than just vocals. That just happens to be how I like to use it and what I mostly use it on. But if you use it on more than just vocals, leave a comment down below and let us know. What is up, guys? Alex from Manic Creates here. I'm a professional audio engineer, mixer, and producer. And on this level I don't use it.
It's kind of dystopian how it's like the world of information The means in which you need to go to acquire it, you have to go through the most insufferable YouTube tutorials just to get to what you actually want to learn. It's fucked
on much more than vocals. Now, one of the main ways that I like to use it is when I have a vocal that was not compressed when it was recorded. I like to just even out the vocal a little bit without coloring the sound very much before I actually put on the compressors that I would normally use. I also find it very handy to just help even out podcasts or dialogue while still making it sound natural, but just reining in the dynamics a little bit. Now, personally, I don't really like to use it as the only compressor on a vocal. It's not really that purpose for me. As I said, it's very natural sounding and just helps even it out, but it doesn't really bring any character to it or give me that compressed sound, which is great for what I use it for, but then I like to add
Well, that makes sense though, because most of the Waves plugins are transparent, right? The interface is designed to provide a smooth, transparent sound shaping without sacrificing tone. Yup. That's probably why it sounds so natural. Yup. MV2 user manual. Let's look at this shit. Chapter 1 Goopily Gopple. Wait, this is the user manual right here? It's not very long. It's kind of messing up. Okay. Low level compression can be explained in simple terms as the opposite of standard or high level compression. In a standard compression setting, any signal above the set threshold gets compressed and attenuated. With the MV2 low level compression function, any signal below the set threshold gets compressed upward. Okay, so it's, instead of, let's say it's just upwards or downwards compression. Um, Does it say high level compression? Is that what it says? Dude, this keyboard literally makes it's like it feels like I'm drunk when I'm fucking typing on it. I don't know why. It's like all aesthetic. This overtime in low an audio compression reduces the dynamic range of the signal. The difference between the loudest and the quietest parts by either attenuating, reducing loud parts, or amplifying, increasing quiet parts. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, what the freaking heck? Why does this say low level versus high level compression? And then in this, low level versus high level compression. It's just saying that it's upwards. That's see, this is what's so confusing about audio, is that certain people use the same terms to describe two completely different things. And some people use different terms to describe the exact same thing. It's frustrating. And that's why there needs to be more of a meta. You wouldn't think that there is a meta when it comes to audio, but a lot of it is like a bunch of old guys mad at each other. Like that's a part of the meta of audio is like all these companies making different plugs just to spite each other, making different software just to spite each other, just to make things more difficult. And then for the consumer, it just ends up being 10 times more difficult just to integrate all these things at the same time, which is why you end up getting shitty things like iLock. because it's the only attempt to try to get everything to fucking be congruent together. And now what's even worse is now everything's fucking subscription models. You have to download a specific application just to download a piece of software. Like you need to have a hub like UA Connect just to get your plugins. And then the licenses of those you need to approve through iLock. It's a mess, dude. Let's get the frick out of here. Okay. Okay, Waves technology uses split Waves processor into small plugins, which we call components. Having a choice component gives you the flexibility to choose configurations. Okay, monos. Quick start guide. Use the left fader to set the low threshold, high threshold. Cut paste. So basically, this is just like a basic ass compressor. It's just this is just like the most straightforward. Okay. 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 See, this is so basic, dude. This is what I'm saying. That's why I shouldn't have even watched that fucking dumbass YouTube video because I could have just fucking read this shit and understood it way more deeply. So low level. Okay, so compression applies when it hits this number, right? Compression is applied signals below this threshold. So the high is going down and the low is putting it up. So as soon as it hits 23, it's getting put up, right? And as soon as it hits 23 on this side, it's going down. Am I correct? Am I correct? Am I correct? Let me see if I understood. Low level compression. Any signals below the set threshold gets compressed upwards. Okay, so anything below 23 dB in this picture is getting pushed up. So anything below this getting pushed up. Do you get to set the ratio? Or is it just a set ratio? Saying the range here, but you're not saying how high the compression rate is, right? Where do you set the compression rate? Where do you set of each of these? Is it just one set rate? Very interesting. I don't know how good. I would be curious to see. Can you set the compression rate on the MV2? It does not have a traditional attack or release parameter. Yikes. It's not good. So basically, I feel like the reason why a lot of people feel that this is natural is because it's not doing a lot. Like if I'm being honest here, one, it's transparent. If you wanted a faster compression rate, set the threshold so that the low level and high level regions overlap slightly. This will cause the compression to react more quickly to changes in the signal. Interesting. For a slower, more gradual. So I guess it's trying to do everything in one kind of two fader thing relationship, which is interesting. So okay, I see. So you're kind of like mixing hot and cold water together with this. Interesting. I can see why that's fun. So you don't really have like an attack decay kind of like exact thing. It's more of a feel thing that you have to set yourself, but there is some degree of mathematical push pull going on between the decibel changes here. So that's why it's a little frustrating because for me, I would like to have all the control so I can set the actual attack and decays to be exact what I want them to be. But anyways, that's fine, I suppose. See, that's the beautiful thing about these plugins is because they have their manuals, you don't have to buy them to kind of get the gist of what's going on. You know what I mean? And in fact, actually, a lot of times people who don't read the manuals have really no fucking clue what their plugin's even doing. They might just know that they like when this one knob goes up or down, you know? But like, for example, when I got the Shadow Hills, I watched that video of that the guy who made the Shadow Hills compressor talking about how to use it exactly, completely changed the way that I fucking interact with Shadow Hills compressor. So,
Producing a vocalist.
yeah, yeah, producing a vocalist. Okay. Okay. So now we're going back. How to tame a bright vocal. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what
You're
I want.
still in my head. So now all we have to do is go to Automate. Let's hit convert and see the result.
What's the next thing? Number 2 on the list.
The next one was by Devon. He said, give the hook more to breathe.
Oh yeah, okay.
More air to breathe.
That's a good point though, because you want to like, in mixing, you not only want to make sure the voice sounds good, but you want to take someone on a journey. And I think that's the point that he was trying to get is like, if you make the chorus vocal just sound slightly different than the verse and have a bit more energy because you're bringing a little bit more air to the voice, it makes the ear like, all right, let me pay attention to this because it's a new section of the song as well. It's the chorus, you know? So these are like little things that you can do to make your tracks just more like listenable throughout. So it's not just the same sounding vocal throughout the entire song, you know what I mean? All right, so I'm gonna show you guys how to add a little bit more brightness or air to the voice. This is like an old school method, but it's not old school that is bad, it's old school that has just been around forever and people been using it. All right, so what I'm gonna do, first step, if I wanna give this vocal that like airy R&B almost like brightness is, I'm gonna create a new aux track and I'm gonna make this a mono aux track. So Command Shift N allows you to create a new track. See, it's mono aux, boom, create. All right, I'm gonna call this hair.
Hair?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it hair. And then right here in this panel, you see how it says inserts? These are inserts, so you can put plugins here. But right here we got sends. That means we can send our chorus vocal to this aux track that we're setting up. So I'm gonna send, go to track, and I'm gonna find that track that I just created called air. So right.
I think this is the thing you see with a lot of high-level producers is I've noticed that they do two things, right? Gradual, either whether it's EQ or compression. They use a lot of compression, they use a lot of EQ, and they do a lot of very small things over the course of a lot of different plugins. What I think that it's doing is it's causing you to have a much more gradual sound to achieving what you want, as well as all of those plugins are adding some kind of colorization to the sound through balanced harmonics or unbalanced harmonics if it's distortion rather. But generally, like if you're using UAD, you're putting some kind of balanced harmonics back into the waveform, right? And then the other thing I see is bussing, whether you're using parallel compression, bussing your reverbs, bussing your spatial elements, bussing even your air with this. And like I said last time, to make a kick drum really hit, I've seen certain mixing professors that I've had beam certain harmonic sine waves into that waveform so that it really hits, right? Because I've seen certain, like let's say like you're recording a kick live I've seen where if you just record it, you can get a punchy or whatever if you have a nice sub mic, but sometimes you just have a SM57. So sometimes what I've seen people do is they'll make a fake resonance frequencies within that range so that the kick has that punch to it. Just something to think
Right
about.
here, this is how much level of the chorus vocal that we're sending to the air aux. And so I'm gonna keep that all the way up at 0. That means we're giving 100% of the chorus vocal to this little bust that we're doing right here. And we'll test it just to make sure it's coming in. So you see it's coming in on the air thing right there. You see if we mute it, the vocal becomes lower in volume. If we put it in, it's louder. So that means it's working. So first things first, we want to add air. Air is in the top end, so we don't want the body of the vocal. So I'm gonna put an EQ. I'm taking out all the body of the voice, right? All right, so I got all the low end, as you can see, is not in the vocal anymore in this air track. So the next thing I'm gonna do, now that we're focused on the high end, is I wanna compress this thing a lot, like overwhelmingly a lot. And you can do that very easily just using like the RX compressor. It's with waves.
Answer that one again? Could you start from I hate that compressor, honestly.
Dynamics, you just go to dynamics, you just type it in. You just type it in. Right.
Bro, no way somebody just asked this guy how to get to a compressor. Bro, what? How are you gonna be teaching about parallel air, about busing an air track, and somebody doesn't know how to get to a compressor within fucking Pro Tools? What the freaking heck? You ever heard of a search bar? Like, what the fuck? That's crazy to me.
Renaissance IX. Yeah. So then here, I'm just gonna compress the air. So remember,
Dude, that's why he had that reaction.
It's with waves.
Answer that one again? Could you start from I hate that compressor, honestly.
This guy stressed the fuck out, dude, from that. Holy shit, he does. I would have the similar reaction to that question too. Bro, literally.
So the next thing I'm gonna do, now that we're focused on the high end, is I wanna compress this thing a lot, like overwhelmingly a lot. And you can do that very easily just using like the RX compressor. It's with waves.
Answer that one again? Could you start from I hate that compressor, honestly.
Dynamics, you just go to dynamics, you just type it in.
That's what I'm gonna start doing anytime somebody asks me something super dumb.
You just type it in, Renaissance IX. Yeah. So then here, I'm just gonna compress the.
What'd that dude think it was, bro? All of this shit is plugins, bro. What?
The air. So remember, we're only focusing on this track right now. So
Is bro even paying attention too? He's not even on
don't
the
be confused.
Same BPM, get those premonition soon as the flame. Candles burn for the.
So it's very sibilant. It's very. We're getting a lot of the high end, right, coming in.
Same BPM, get those premonitions.
And we can actually hear how this sounds if we do.
What was the plugin name again?
This is just a compressor.
Oh.
And all we're doing is compressing the high end, only the high end of your voice.
So waves Renaissance compressor.
See,
Waves.
I feel like this whoever's teaching this class, before you move on to these concepts, you need to make sure everybody in the room understands basic level shit, because it seems like there's a lot of people in this room who are like focusing on the wrong shit. Like they're treating this shit as though it's like a scavenger hunt or some shit like that. Like, oh, if I get the right plugin, then I'll be able to do the exact same thing that this guy's doing. And it's like, no, it's about understanding the concept of you're bussing air. He's just compressing high frequencies. That's all he's doing. You don't need a specific plugin to do that. And that's like the whole basis of audio is you don't need it. You don't need one plugin to solve a problem. You can do that with any plugin that solves that specific problem. So, yeah, this is not these people's fault. If I'm gonna be honest, it's probably the teacher's fault for not making sure everybody's on the same space. But dude, this reminds me of a lot of college classes I had where it'd be like, I'm in there and I'm watching my professor's technique. I'm watching like how he's going about sculpting the sound more so than it is about what specific plugins is he using and shit like that. Not to say that that's not fucking important, because that's the specific knowing what the specific plugins are is important, but understanding what they're doing and why you want to use them and what problem they're solving is way more important to understand. Just understanding conceptually what's happening is way way more important to understand than memorizing what plugin is this guy using in this instance. And I think that that's why this guy's a little bit frustrated here, is because he knows that they don't understand that, or at least some of the people who in this video seem to not understand that. But I could be wrong, but it seems like some of these people in this room are. And there's nothing wrong with being a fucking beginner, obviously. Everyone is a beginner. But it's important, I think, as a student and as a teacher, to be able to understand what you really want to learn versus other shit that's just complete bullshit that is just a waste of time. Like, I think fucking being, praising these specific brands, is like, it is counterproductive to like the whole point of it's about this is computer code. If you were to design a plugin yourself, you could eventually achieve some of this, like the same metrics that are used. It's all at its core. These are like levers being pulled to a specific number degree within the computer. But they just dress these plugins up as they look very aesthetically cool. They look like outboard gear. But it's just ones and zeros. And they're all performing certain code functions, whether it's on C++ or whatever it is. Right? And that they're all using specific mathematical formulas to achieve gain reduction, distortion, saturation. Like, all these things is just, if you boil it down to it, it's just like digital math. So it's like getting too caught up in the name brand and, oh, I need to use this waves, or I need to use this RVEX. It's like, no, you can achieve the exact same result with a different route. It's just about the concept. But
So what I'm doing is I'm soloing our aux to hear exactly what's going on. And right now it's sounding pretty good, but we're getting a little bit of the tone in her voice. So I want to take out some of that tone. That's all air right there, right? That's all the high end. Hey, I hope you guys have been finding this video.
If you want to make your own music, but you don't want to waste hours of your time scrolling, this is the plugin.
oh my gosh, dude, I hate when my computer figures out that I'm an audio engineer and I just get spammed with just audio advertisement.
So if you want to go check that out, link is in the description below. Smooth and not super harsh is let's throw a de-esser on here.
Consumerism.
So I'll just use like a DP 402, something like this. Keep this at 100% mix. And literally, this is one of the best de-essers, because if you want to just de-esser your vocal real quickly, all you gotta do is just start dragging that down. There's one knob, like, it's real simple. You can
DPR 402. Okay, DPR 402. This is apparently. We're keeping track of all this, all right? It's important.
You can fine tune it with this, but like already just by doing this, you're halfway there, more than halfway there. You hear how we got the high end, but it's not the S's and the sibilance isn't like poking out too much anymore. So before, the waves.
that's the way it is.
Yeah. So we got all of that high-end niceness, but none of the like super sharp sibilants.
It makes it sound like you have more history of what that.
Yeah, and then after that, if you want to get real fancy, you could throw some distortion on this. Like, don't go too crazy, but let me see what they got here. We'll just use like Saturn or something. And then.
All right, buddy. Saturn is not a distortion knob, it is a saturator knob. Saturn saturator.
And you can saturate.
Completely different than distortion. Distortion is unbalanced harmonics. Saturation is balanced harmonics. All right, but
Like the high end.
I'll let it pass.
To make that presence even more felt.
Did you learn all this like over years or? Yeah. It's like a lot.
It is.
It is.
What kind? I'm sorry, but what kind of question is that, man? Did you learn all this over years? Yeah. Like, what was the alternative answer to that question? It just feels like I was just made to, and that was my issue with college. Is so many people would just ask questions that were just clearly it was meant to be like, "Hey, I'm still in the room. Hey, I'm over here." It was like so many of the questions weren't even about like, "Oh, can I get great new information?" It was just like a little like they're like ad-libbing the class. Yeah, whatever, dude.
So listen to the difference. I'm using a tape saturation right now.
I'm getting fucking rage bait.
You can go crazy, but we don't want that, right? We don't want to distort too much. If you add a little bit though, what it does, the effect that tape adds, especially to high ends, it kind of warms it up. Like it still keeps it bright, but it warms it up in a pleasing way where it's not like, it's not harsh anymore. We still maintain the brightness. So that's why this is nice. So you can hear the difference. It's just smoother on the ears slightly, yeah? So all of these things are like little things, but it's all steps and you add it up. It's like a recipe. You can't just like, you want a burger or whatever. You can't just like throw a bunch of crap on a table and here goes a burger. No, you gotta cut the tomato exactly the right length. You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta fry the patty a certain, so all of these are just steps of like building this chain. So basically
music is like a burger.
That we got this like air chain kind of built, right? So now I'm gonna take this out of pre-fader mode. Now this is where the fun is, because now that it's built, all we gotta do is blend it into taste, and you can blend it in with the volume knob right here. So without it.
And work as hard as you play, matching moves for the heart, same BPM, yeah, this
And now I can start bringing it in.
And work as hard as you play, matching moves for the heart, same BPM, yeah, this premonition soon as the flame.
Way more like clarity in her voice there, but it's not harsh at all, right?
Natural.
Yeah.
It's not harsh at all. So if you were to take an EQ, and if you were to just like boost it up, like, oh, I need brightness and whatever, it would have been mad sibilant, first of all, which means it would have also been harsh. You would have had that high end, but it wouldn't have been pleasing to listen to. It'd have been like, it wouldn't have sounded professional.
I honestly, I feel like he has the right idea, but I feel like he executed it terribly. Like, I feel like you can't just have an air track and then not have any type of subtractive EQ or tempering going on within that at all. Like, there needs to be some type of probably like compression at the end of that to pull it back down within the 10 to 20K region, because all you're really doing is just mixing in another signal with all that gain information. So I feel like you probably need something that's gonna, the more you push into it, right, it's gonna pull back a little bit. I can't imagine just having like just that on like a separate track and you're just like slowly mixing it in. Like, I can't imagine that is like the most optimized route for that. Like, I feel like I'd probably do some type of Even though it just seems counterproductive, I feel like you need to have some kind of like low pass on top of that to quell it. I can't. Hey, I'm tripping. Maybe he's right.
Professional, put it that way. Because right here, we kept the body and the fullness of her voice, but we also brought in that like clarity at the same time. So we get the best of both worlds.
Like the floor frequency information of that bus is going to be absolutely absurd, right? And then you're just going to be mixing that in. I feel like there's got to be like issues that arise from that, right? It can't. There's no way it's like, oh, this is just perfectly not semblant at all, just because I put it into a separate bus track. Like it's still you're still like compressing the fuck out of the floor from the 10 to 20K region, like.
You know what I mean? So it's not as simple as just like, oh, I want whatever, just let me EQ it up. Like, it's here.
That's so true though, because so many people who are like new to mixing and stuff like that, they're just like, oh, like let me just do it. Like, oh, my asses are too bright. Let me just pull down this huge chunk of EQ right here. It's like, bro, maybe just pull down the input gain on your fucking 3 compressors before that.
There's a lot of different ways to go about it. Hey, I hope you guys have learned something from today's video. I would love to hear your.
Okay. So it's like people just busting the air, right?
As far as your reverb and stuff like that is concerned, is there any processing you're doing to the reverb?
Kramer tape on there. Kramer tape with like a delay.
Kramer tape? What the fuck is a Kramer tape? Okay.
The delay in the Kramer tape is legendary.
Within the Kramer tape.
Within the Kramer tape. Do a lot of like imaging out there, like S1 imager on it, depending if I'm trying to get the vocal to sit more on top of the mix or just inside of it. I'll do a lot of panning of the verb or of the delay. Just any.
Oh, that's something I need to get better at. Imaging and controlling stereo and
effect, right? Like with me and effects is like I like shit to sound dreamy. Like my way of mixing, like mine, I want you to experience the mix. I want shit to pop out the speakers. I want you to feel the mix. I want you to experience it.
I can tell this guy knows what he's talking about. He was dropping some sauce right there.
If you're having problems with harsh vocals, here's a little tip to help you EQ them properly. Generally speaking, the harshness in vocals happens in this area here, between about 1K to about 5K. Bear in mind that every vocal is different and needs different treatment, so apply accordingly. Here's the vocal I needed to EQ. And the 3 EQ cuts I found myself making were 800, 1800, and 3400. Here it is with and without.
Okay, this has to be maybe one of the worst videos I think I've ever seen in my life. Are you serious? A reduction of -20 decibels? -10? Like this is insane. This is an insane. You're pulling down so much frequency in these regions. I can't watch this. I cannot watch this. It's not. Okay, let's please be good. Please be good. Please be good. I'm telling you, so much of the shit you see on YouTube is just straight up bad advice.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Devon Terrell in raw form, and welcome to another Help Me Devon raw tutorial. And today, in this Help Me Devon tutorial,
I wonder if there's a way for like Suno and like AI shit for like somehow for me to just like, because I know Suno uses like, well, at least allegedly, I believe that they use YouTube to train their model, and that's why there's all that dithering issue on their shit. So I'm like, I wonder if there's a way to like just mad upload like hella fart sounds to YouTube, just like hella fart sound effect videos, and then AI just like uses that as its training model to like train all like the new like music that it's about to make, and then you just get all the new AI music. It's just sounds like farts and shit like that. I wonder if that's possible.
I'll be showing you guys how to fix harshness in your vocal recordings. I'm going to assume if you stumbled upon this video that you have harshness in your vocals or some type of sound source, and you're trying to figure out how to fix that. So let's get right to it. So right here, I have a vocal, and it's harsh. There's a certain harshness to it. The only thing that's on this vocal right now is just a little bit of compression, and that is it. So this is a vocal recording that's straight out the gate. Listen to what this vocal sounds like. Let's understand and feel what this vocal feels like. I know you got a past, always ending up in blast. Girl, let go your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't do shit to you, cause I be your friend, never pretend. Treat you like the mother niggas in your past, shawty. Okay, so you can hear that this vocal is harsh. There is some harshness to this vocal, and I'm gonna assume that you have run into this issue as well, more or less, as far as the range of how much harshness is on yours. I noticed that I get more harshness when I hit bigger or louder notes. I noticed that resonance, it starts to really hurt my ear. How do we fix this? How do we approach this? How do we identify where the problem is? How do we do this?
I don't know. Tell me.
So before we go any further,
please, Devin.
I'm going to ask you guys to comment, like, and subscribe to keep this channel going. Also, I'm going to ask you guys to go on over to helpmedevon.info at any time during this tutorial to get some of our goodies, presets, vocal chains, for a bunch of different DAWs to support the channel. Let's get back to the tutorial. Okay, so there's two ways that you can approach this. One is EQ, and another is de-essing. I'm going to show you the EQ way first. I'm going to show you the de-esser way next. Then I'm going to show you a combination of the EQ and de-esser and how powerful that can be to get rid of your harshness. And then I'll also show you a little special trick for to make it even easier. You'll see when I got you. All right, cool. So now let's go on over to our EQ. So the first technique we're going to do to try to get rid of this harshness is the EQ. So let's look at this again. Let's look at this vocal within the premise of our actual Fat Filter Pro Q EQ. I know you got a pass, always ending up in blast. Girl, let go your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. Okay, cool. So I hear that harshness, I feel it, and I'm trying to figure out to myself, where does it reside? So the way I usually like to do it is, typically when I hear, my ear is very accustomed to hearing harshness in the sense of knowing where it is. I can feel like the harshness is coming from that like 3 kilohertz range in a sense, and that's where I feel like the resonance is coming from. That's one place that I can identify. So of course I don't know exactly where it is within that 3 kilohertz range, but if you train your ear hard enough, you can kind of identify problem areas. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to start to train yourself with problem areas. With my training and hearing it myself, I can tell that 3K range, I have a problem, and that's a lot of times where harshness will reside in your vocal depending on your microphone and source. Okay, cool. So how do I find it? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an EQ at the 3 kilohertz range. I'm going to do something a little taboo. A lot of people are not big fans of sweeping. Well, when it comes to me, I am a fan of sweeping. I'm a fan of sweeping when I know I'm looking for within a certain spectrum.
When I would do live mixing, they like, I noticed a lot of engineers would do that, where they would, which was really terrible for the audience to hear it, but they would sweep, which is basically like just creating a manual LFO with a huge resonance spike that you're just sliding back and forth to see which of the frequencies is bad or sounds good. It'll sound like it sounds crazy. And yeah, I've like that in a live setting is insane, because you'll just be like in the audience and then you'll just hear like over top of it, and it sounds crazy. But I guess it is a good way of finding maybe those resonances or figuring out the rooms or whatever. You know, and I fall victim to this. A lot of engineers get hella fucking annoying with their methods and shit. We're all know-it-alls, and we all fucking act like our ways is the fucking best.
The problem is, I don't like when people turn up the EQ, start to sweep for the problem, not even identifying, well, what am I looking for? As opposed to, you're throwing it up and you're just like, oh, that sounds bad, notch. Oh, that sounds bad. I'm actually identifying, hey, I hear a frequency that I feel like has too much resonance. I'm going to go within that spot where I feel like it is, find it, and notch. That's how I like to go about my sweeping when I'm looking for this type of stuff. All right. So let's sweep. Let's start from down here. I know it's in that 1K to 4K range where some of that harshness is residing. I'm going to crank it. Let's start down here. I know you got a pass, always ending up in blast. Do you feel it starting to hurt? That's how I know, oh, I'm getting close. I feel like I'm in that range. I know you got a pass, always ending up in blast. Girl, let go your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy. And we found it. And boy, does that hurt. This is what I call the pain frequency. Luckily for us, it happens to be right at the 3,000 hertz range.
Am I tripping? Am I just deaf or some shit? I did not hear it. Like, I feel like he's got some kind of like de-esser on them. on the video's audio because I didn't even like. What the fuck?
You feeling me? And we found it, and boy, does that hurt. This is what I call the pain frequency. Luckily for us, it happens to be right at the 3,000 hertz range. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna notch this out. Let's notch this out. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you feeling me. Didn't that sound a lot more lighter on your ear? In that small little moment of us notching that frequency out, just a lot of that, you start to feel like, oh, it feels a lot lighter on my ear. Let's bypass it back and forth so you can really hear what just happened. So check this out. So without first. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't doing shit to you. Cause I be your friend. Never pretend. Treat you like the mother niggas in your bad shot. It just feels like this tinniness, this hunkiness that exists in that 3 kilohertz range, and we notch that stuff out.
I'm not gonna lie. I like everything he's saying is like is Bible. It's pure facts here. But I genuinely cannot hear it. Like it sounds better without the EQ.
And it's a lot more easier to listen to. And so your listener can probably endure listening to that sound a lot longer, as opposed to subconsciously they just kind of say, I'm tired of this song, I don't like this song, because it hurts. It's resonance. All right. I feel like I heard a little bit of a boxiness tone as well in this.
But if he's still going with this, I mean, I just like this is just crazy to me. Okay, like you can just do a way better job at quelling this stuff with like a compression. Like with the Pro Q3 I used, you can add compression to your notches. If you had this at like even like right here, but you just had some compression, it would sound way better than pulling this specific. I'm really against doing this type of stuff, these huge notch pulls.
So I'm going to find that, and that is a form of harshness as well. There's a certain boxiness that I don't like that I feel like has some resonance.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like if you think about it, it's like if like the way you naturally hear sounds in real life, you would never have something like this occurring with a sound. This is so weird. Like what would cause something like this?
Resonance in the lower end of the spectrum, probably within that like 600 hertz range to 300 hertz range. So I'm going to find that resonance there as well and bring that out as well. So let's check it out. So that's how I do it. I identify my problem areas and then I sweep to find the exact locations and then I pull them out. So let's find it within this problem area over here. So I'm going to start at the 300 hertz range. Let's make it real tight on the Q. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't doing shit to you. Cause I be your friend. Never pretend. Treat you like the mother niggas in your bad shawty. So I feel at the 350, I feel the most boxiness at this 350 range. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. So I'm gonna knock some of that out right now. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy.
All right, I can notice how that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I ain't doing shit to you. Okay, now let's bypass this whole thing back and forth and let's see what we got. So without first. No, you gotta pass. We sending up in blast. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't doing shit to you. Cause I be your friend. Never pretend. Treat you like the mother niggas in your bad shawty. So it's a lot easier to listen to. Is it absolutely perfect at this point? Absolutely not. But did we get rid of some of that resonance that was bothering us in that range? Absolutely. Now, granted, I can go back on over to the 2K to 4K, that kind of range, and even notch out some more because I still do hear some of that harshness. But I just wanted to show you quickly, hey, this is how you can kind of find that area until it feels a lot more easier and lighter on your ear. So that when you do start compressing, when you do start adding and boosting EQs, at least you know that you're not building upon that resonance that is hurting and that's causing pain in your ear. Okay. The other technique that I want to show you guys is the de-esser route. So let's open up an RDesser. I'll open up a simple one that
Okay, well, he's like showing different levels of like how to do it, and I mean, de-esser is a way better tool at doing this than what he just showed. That crazy cut like thing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like people just need to format their YouTube videos better, have it better.
a lot of us may commonly have. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up one of my presets, my 3 kilohertz killer. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around to that same frequency range that I found that issue. It was around that 3 kilohertz spot. I'm going to take this and then I'm going to explain to you the difference between using the de-esser and EQ. There's a big difference and you have to be careful in which one you choose to attack your problem. I'll explain to you in a second. Stay with me. Okay, so let's roll on over here to about that 3,500 hertz range. And let's use this de-esser to kind of attack that problem that we're having. Let's put the threshold way up here. Let's put the range to about a -9. And all this means is, hey, anything that passes the threshold on your de-esser, I want you to knock it down about 9, at most 9 dB. So anything that crosses the threshold of that specific frequency range that we have specified in our de-esser, the range is saying I will knock it down the most 9 dB. Understood? Okay. So depending on how I set this threshold right here, will basically let the range know what it should do and how much it should be compressing this specific frequency range here. Okay, cool. So let's give it a try. I know you got a pass, always ending up in last. Girl, let go your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't do shit to you, cause I be your friend, never pretend. Treat you like the other niggas in your past, shawty. I wanna go slow with you, I don't wanna go too fast. No, you've been damaged. Do you see how it attacks that moment, that harshness, that thing that's kind of buzzing in the air? You don't even...
I could, like, the semblance, he's missing it. Like, he's hitting the wrong frequency. Like, he's doing, like, 3K and stuff, and I just feel like it's... The thing that he's trying to hit is it's up there. It's not. It's like way higher.
Even realize it's really how it. Shawty, I wanna go slow with you. I don't wanna go too fast. No, you've been damaged. Do you see how?
No, you've been damaged. Like it's.
It attacks that moment, that harshness, that thing that's kind of buzzing in the air. You don't even realize it's really happening until it's gone. You're like, oh, that's so much easier to listen to. Check it out again. Without. I know you got a pass, always ending up in last. Girl, let go your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't do shit to you, cause I be your friend, never pretend. Treat you like the other niggas in your past, shawty. Now, granted,
I know he's trying to like do it intensely so you can actually hear the difference, but it's.
You can sit here and say, hey, that's a little bit too much that is taken out. Take the range, move it up a little bit. Tell her, hey, the most I want you to take out is 6 dB. Find the spot that makes sense for you. But man, does that really grab that frequency range that's causing that pain and pulling that thing down and really making the vocal feel a little bit tighter and a little bit more concise so that when you add some compression later, you got a vocal that doesn't hurt my ears, that is really just cutting through and just feels good overall. This is extremely powerful to use, and the difference between using the EQ and the de-esser is that the de-esser is a momentary takeaway of that frequency range, as opposed to the EQ being a permanent takeaway. Think about it. That EQ sits, you take out the frequency, it's gone. Whether it's not so much of that resonance there, or if there's a lot of that resonance there. As opposed to the de-esser, if there is more of that resonance at certain moments, then it will work harder to take that stuff out. And if there's not much of that resonance there at that moment, it won't even try to actually pull that frequency out, meaning that that frequency, as far as that 3 kilohertz, will stay where it is. It won't compress it, as opposed to if it feels like, hey, that's a lot of it, it moves it. So you kind of got to choose, pick and choose what you feel will work best for your song. A lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I'll go for the de-esser from the very beginning, and then towards the end, if I feel like I still got a little bit of resonance, then I use the EQ kind of to clean things up a bit and kind of move things out the way. And that's what I use. So you can use this with each other, EQ and de-esser, or you can use them separately for whatever problems that you're facing with your vocal. This is really, really important to understand and to know, because this can make a...
Just the way my style of mixing, I almost never do surgical EQ stuff. And after watching Tizo or whatever, I'm gonna start doing more very slight surgical stuff in the very beginning of my chain. But the idea of just removing 5K frequency from a waveform just because, I mean, like, that's so crazy. That just... Why would you do that? I don't know. That's like saying, I'm going to paint a mural, but I'm not going to use blue. Or light blue or whatever. You know, it's like, maybe not use so much, but you don't have to just completely eliminate it.
A break your song, as far as how long people can deal with listening to it, and as far as when a master engineer gets it and tries to boost things, and there's harshness everywhere. So as a bonus, I'll show you guys one more thing. And the last thing I'm going to show you is something I didn't want to show you guys off rip, because I wanted you guys to understand the concept of taking frequencies away and de-essing. But there's an amazing plugin from Oak Sound called Soothe 2.
Okay, well, at least he's doing what my criticism was of the previous guy, where he's setting the foundation of what you need to know conceptually before he moves on to the more nuanced stuff, which I appreciate. Thank you.
And I'm a huge fan of this plugin. It's really good at getting rid of resonance. And there's so many different applications that it can be used for, from guitars to vocals to just any instrument or sound that you feel like has resonance. It does a really powerful job of kind of masking and getting rid of those frequencies, but still making the sound sound like its original sound source and retaining it. So let's give this a try. I'm going to do this as the default setting. Let's see what it sounds like with the absolute default setting. I know you got a pass, always ending up in last. Girl, like, oh, your feelings if you're feeling me. Treat me like the bad guy, yeah. I ain't do shit to you, cause I be your friend, never pretend. Treat you like the other niggas in your past, shawty. So you can see right there, just from its natural setting, the Soothe 2 plugin just does a masterful job of just like, I'm gonna get rid of these frequencies and hold these down. It's really dope. I highly recommend the Soothe 2 plugin. Maybe I'll leave a description for it in the bottom. You can also go to my site, helpmedevon.info, for a bunch of presets and things of that nature as well. So that was my tutorial on how to basically fix harsh vocals in your vocal recordings. I'm glad you watched it. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you follow at helpmedevon on the Instagram, and also make sure that you come on over to helpmedevon.info at any time to get some of our presets, vocal chains, and all kinds of goodies for a variety of DAWs that I'm sure you have as well. Also, make sure you join our Discord community with a bunch of aspiring engineers and musicians like yourself to pick up some game and etc. That is all in the description below. And make sure you comment. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And until next time, guys.
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the drums. I'm gonna hit drums and click cover. Yes. This is good. Okay, perfect. I feel like the song needs a rhythm guitar. Dun, 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 dun.
Oops, my bad.
Changing it to guitar.
Hold on. Hold on. This one was 8 months ago, so do you think it's gonna be the exact same video? Let's watch this. Let's watch.
So today I'm gonna show you how to get your vocals from sounding like this. Sounding like this. Let's get this brain thing. Yay! What's good, YouTube? You already know who it is, man. It's your boy, Culo, aka, Wait, man. We're back at it like a. Stop. Let's not take it here. Let's get right into the brain thing. So look, man. Today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to get any type of.
All right, already, I fuck with the intro immediately. Already.
Vocals just to that level where it sounds professional, smooth, crisp, and clear, all at the same time. I don't want to hold you guys up. Let's get right into the brain thing. And if you're not subscribed already, man, and you don't know me, man, listen, I'm the way, man. Subscribe up. Let's get into this. So let's listen to the track that it's going to become, and we're going to take you through the steps of how we got it to this point. So let's take a look at the screen, guys, right now. And the record that we're actually doing is a record that I made kind of in a Chris Brown-esque type of pop R&B type of track, right? So we're just going to take a listen to this track, fully mixed down, and then we're going to go listen to the raws and take you guys through the steps and techniques of how to get it there, okay? So hopefully you can learn something today. Let's get it.
Like you never been touched. No sand, no web, no flash, no rush. She hit my phone with the you up. Said I wish what's up. Shawty moon like she built from a beat. Bounce old bag got me on my seat. I lie like we talking in code. She don't dare, she just take control. Heartbeat match the baseline. She don't think she FaceTime. I ain't leave, yeah, she got your mind. Is that vibe? Yeah, that time. You got me swerving off emotion. Yeah, girl, your body got motion sickness. We ain't even touch with this party. One got me thinking I'm choosing. We ride with no bricks all night.
Bro, you better not copyright strike my fucking video. I swear to God, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Sheesh. Sounds pretty good, right? So what I'm gonna do now is play the raw version of this and just kind of show you guys the difference of where we had this go from to where we just got it just now.
Put up clean like you never been touched. No sand, no web, no flash, no rush. She hit my phone with the you up. Said I wish what's up. Shawty moon like she built from a beat. Bounce old bag got me on my seat.
Jeez. All right. So as you can hear, we took this thing a long way from where we just heard it, from being fully mixed down. I'm talking about E.T. Phone Home. I'm talking about Forrest Gump, Run Forrest. Like a big difference is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so we're gonna show you guys step by step on how we got there. Let's get right into this brain thing.
See, more people need to bring fucking personality into their audio fucking content, dude. There's no reason why this shit should be a fucking snooze fest. We're all cool people. Like that's what I've been trying to say.
Now, of course, the first thing that we always do when it comes down to getting that perfect vocal, right? Getting that in tune vocal is getting that vocal in tune. So, of course, we didn't have to do too much auto tuning because, I mean, let's keep it real, you boys all right with the singing notes. You feel me? I'm decent. Okay, so we used a simple auto tune as you can see right here, and all we had to do to make sure that this auto tune was in key, because we do know we have to get the auto tune in key to sound good. That's the first thing that we're gonna have to do, guys. Is find out the key of your beat to make sure that we can get our key of vocal in tune. All right. So with this being said, we used a 10 retune speed and a humanize of 17. Now I find that sometimes people will say, "Yo, how are you able to get your auto tune so low in retune speed and it doesn't sound like it's being auto tuned or robotic-y, right?" And I just think that comes with the better that you are at singing, the less the auto tune is even gonna basically have to work. But for the most part, with the new update.
It's using a mathematical algorithm to detect how close you are to a specific frequency. There is notes. Each note is a specific frequency. For example, I believe A is 440 hertz. Right? Kilohertz? Hertz? 440 hertz. Kilohertz would be insane. 430 hertz. Excuse me. And then up there, an octave from that is 880 hertz, right? And an octave below that is 220, and it just keeps doubling. All those are A's, right? All those frequencies are different notes. So when you're singing, if you can hit those notes exactly, that is oftentimes what we as humans most perceive as somebody being a good singer. So when the auto tune interacts with your voice, it'll push it towards whatever frequency is the closest, and then the retune speed is how fast it's doing that.
It's an auto tune, which is why it's my favorite pitch corrector, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. With the updates in auto tune and the algorithms, it's a very clean auto tune. So I use that auto tune to tighten up the vocal. So I'll go ahead and play it right now so you guys can understand how it tightens up that vocal and just gets it exactly where we need it to be. All right, check it out.
Caught up clean like you never been touched. No saying no web, no flex, no rush. She hit my phone with the you up. Said always what's up. Shawty who now she built from a beat. Now so bag got me on my seat. I thought like we talking in code. She don't dare, she just take control. Heartbeat match the baseline. She don't think she fixed time.
All right, so as you can hear, we're totally locked in now, totally pitch perfect, and that's what we're looking for when we're trying to get this smooth R&B type of vocal. Let's get into the next thing, okay? Now this is kind of my this is kind of like my key, my hidden gem right here, okay, guys? Now, when it comes to R&B vocals or just vocals in general, whether you're doing a rap vocal, whether you're doing a rock vocal, there is a certain tone sometimes that you're trying to hit, and it might not be perfect, right? So I'm gonna show you a quick way that I go about sometimes adding the effect onto my main track in order to get the tone that I'm looking for sometimes, okay? So that's gonna happen with this plugin right here, and it's the little altar boy. Now, as you can see, the little altar boy is a plugin from Sound Toys.
No, did he put this on his vocal? Why would you put this? Dude, please do. Dude. Definitely take a break, bro, but bro, there's nothing quite like truly locking in on some FL, bro. Like when you truly lock in flow state and you achieve flow state and like it's peak escapism, bro. Those who know. If you can get lasered in, locked in, maybe you have some Adventure Time going on in the background, maybe some Assassin's Creed Black Flag going on in the background, and you're locked in. Peak Nirvana, dude. That is like ideal night for me right there. Beat completely locked in. Bam. Skyrim's going on in the background.
And the one thing that we're doing right here in this plugin is using this formant shift, okay? So we're just upping this formant 0.4, okay? We're not overdoing it. We're just trying to change that tone just a little bit more to get a more sweeter tone, okay? So let's go ahead and just listen to this.
Okay. Here's my issue with this little altar boy shit, though. As soon as you put this little altar boy on this Johnson, it completely fucks up the stereo of whatever the fuck you're putting on it. I swear to God, you'll have a mono track like a vocal. You have all the mono string, and then you put a little altar boy on it, it immediately ruins it. It puts it like completely in the stereo. If you don't believe me, try it. It just like puts it. And it's interesting. It says monophonic here, so maybe this is the mono version of it, and it's fine. But 'tis what I've noticed with my little altar boy. I feel like my brain is adjusting, fully being in the zone. Dude, yeah, it's a state of mind, honestly. And the biggest thing, nobody talks about this, the biggest thing that prevents you from achieving that state of mind is simply the act of doing. All you need to do is sit your ass down and get started. That's all you need to do. There's no more fucking complicated thing other than that. And that's just the cosmic joke of life, is that the thing that's stopping you is yourself. The thing that's stopping you from greatness, the thing that's stopping you from achieving high art, it's simply you doom scrolling, taking a nap, deciding to fucking do whatever besides sitting down and doing the thing. Literally, bro. And that's some shit I always constantly need to tell myself every single day, because sometimes I go, I don't want to make music today. I don't feel good. I feel like shit. I'm depressed. Oh, oh no. Life. Whatever. And then it's like, you don't want to sit down and get it done, but then you're like, as soon as you sit down, then you hit fucking flow. Then you flow, bro. Then you just flow, bro. You make a fucking sick ass beat. No, literally, mate. Mm-mm-mm-mm. And then, dude, it just completely cures you. Then you turn into Swag Lord. As soon as you make a fucking sick ass beat, immediately you turn into Swag Lord right after, and you go fucking. You have crazy aura. You move throughout life like different. But that's like the post high from making a sick ass fucking song. You feel like crazy aura.
Vocal without this, and we're gonna listen to it with it. I'm gonna exaggerate it so you understand what a format shift does. So let's go ahead and play this right now, and so you guys can hear this.
The new Auto-Tune 2026 has been in the gym. Because this version runs lighter, everything.
Okay, so that's if you throw it all the way up, and if you bring it all the way down, you're gonna get that Darth Vader. Okay, a little bit more deeper in tone. So if I want to sweeten up that tone just a little bit, let's go ahead and listen to this one phrase normally, okay, without anything.
Put up clean like you never been touched.
Okay, put up clean like you never been touched. I want it put up a little bit more sweeter. So without having to go record that, I'm gonna go ahead and add this 0.4 up. Let's just even make it 0.7 so you can hear it just a little bit more. Let's add it in and listen to it.
Put up clean like you never been touched.
Ah, just a little bit more sweeter to get that tone that we're looking for when it comes to this R&B. So again, without.
Put up clean like you never been touched.
With.
Put up clean like you never been touched.
Not overdoing it, doing it very tastefully, but meaning a lot more when you start to listen to it throughout this whole song. So I just want that just a little bit, and that is just a super gem to get that tone and just that that you're looking for. You're right. So that's just a little gem to make sure that we're getting that tone that we're looking for, that I had to add into this song. And this is just something that you guys can take if you need to add it to your songs, and always just having that Swiss Army knife in your back pocket if you ever need this. You right? Now, after we kind of have that perfect pitch, the perfect tone that we're kind of going for in the vocal articulation of it, we're then going to start creating the sound that we want for the vocal sitting in the track. All right. So the first thing that we're going to use is a de-esser. Now, and we're just taking out the frequency in the 7K hertz range, and we're just bringing it out to where we're grabbing those S's and we're seeing the attenuation coming out of these vocals. So let's check it out. So as you can see, we're getting that attenuation, which means we're actually hitting the levels that we need to hit right here, okay? So there's no number that I could just say, hey, put it at da, da, da. No, okay, we need to make sure that our plugins are being activated and they're hitting as much as that we need it to hit. So as you can see, I have it hitting right here and we're attenuating, we're getting that attenuation, so we know it's working, we hear it working, and this is kind of getting some of those S's out, right? Or just high frequencies in general that we kind of want to just take out to make our vocal sound ear-friendly, right? The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna shape the vocal, okay? Now, this was kind of a dramatic type of shaping of vocal, yes, but it was needed for the tone of vocal that I was going for. So as you can see, we pretty much rolled out a lot of the lows, because I'll show you what happens when we have too much lows in here. So let's just show you the example, okay? So I'm just gonna roll these lows back up, and I'm about to roll them back down.
Like you never been touched. No sand, no web, no flash, no rush. She hit my phone with the you up. Said I wish what's up. Shawty knew that she built from a beat. I was so got me on my seat. I thought like we're talking in code. She don't dare, she just take control. Heartbeat match the baseline. She don't think she fixed time. I ain't even, yeah, she acting mine. Is that vibe? Yeah, that time. You got me.
Okay, so the way that I'm using this roll off right here is simply to.
The first time somebody's actually had a banger for a mixing video.
Get just a super tight vocal sitting exactly where.
Dude, I feel like most of the time mixing video music is like on the same level as dash cam music.
I want it to be inside of this beat because we do have a heavy bass in here already. I definitely want this cutting and sitting directly in the middle of this beat. So I felt it necessary to do this, all right? And pretty much we went ahead and also took out the lows in the vocal, right? So not just that rumble in the deep end and that sub of the vocal, but we're also taking out some of that mic rumble that's going to create that, perception of just a muddy vocal. So we took out some of that mud in the 230 hertz range, and we also took out some of that boxy tone in the 500 hertz range. And just some of these other microtones. I almost quit music because I couldn't stand my voice. I can't even count how many nights I stayed up mixing, tweaking, and EQing just to wake up the next day hating how my vocal sounded. I waste hours. Then I heard the rough finish. Behind me was always the preset, and that's why I think guessing your voice smooth out. So we did that with these. Grab the same presets that saved my music. Other tones in the higher frequencies that you just want to smooth out.
Can the preset save my marriage? Can the preset bring my fucking childhood dog back, bro? Can the preset fucking heal my inner soul? That's the shit you gotta ask yourself.
So we did that with these next two notches right here at the 3000 hertz range and the 1K hertz range. So pretty simple EQ. It just does look a little dramatic in this lower end, which is done purposely to try to get that tone that I'm looking for in the vocal, right? Now, the next thing that's very important, and I think super, super important, just a great vocal in general, of course, is gonna be your compression, okay? I felt like I didn't become a real mixer or got a great vocal till I started to understand compression. Now, if you need to understand compression, watch
Yeah, after you make a sick beat, you ascend.
this video right here. This is gonna literally bring you through compression. I think is the best compression video ever made of all time, but I might be a little biased. It's okay though. But in this case, we used a basically a LA2A type of clone. This is the FG2A from Slate Digital. Happens to be my favorite emulation of it, and we just took it down just a little bit so that we're catching this compression. So if you see it work, we're getting this reduction by pushing this up.
Oh, okay, I've seen this before. This is a this is the Mix Lab, right, by Slate. Is that what this is?
Right. Now, the next thing that's very important, and I think super, super important, just a great vocal in general, of course, is going to be your compression, okay?
Virtual mix track, that's what this is. You get all these, yeah, you get all this, yeah. Okay. Virtual mix track. Okay. Damn, I got two OBSs running. Do I have two streams going on? The fuck?
I felt like I didn't become a real mixer or got a great vocal till I started to understand compression. Now, if you need to understand compression, watch this video right here. This is going to literally bring you through compression. I think is the best compression video ever made of all time, but I might be a little
FGA.
biased. It's okay though. But in this case, we used a basically a LA2A type of clone. This is the FG2A from Slate Digital. Happens to be my favorite emulation of it, and we just took it down just a little bit so that we're catching this compression. So if you see it work, we're getting this reduction by pushing this up, right? So this is the peak reducer. So you see it's working right here, going no more than about 5, okay? So no more than taking a gain reduction of 5 out, but it's really playing around this 1 to 3 range right here, which is what we're trying to do, because you're gonna see in this session.
Oh, that's so true, bro. There's like, I even listened to music that I made when I was like fucking 19. And it brings me back, dude. It'll just bring me back to that moment in my life. Even music I've made in the past 2 years, I'll just listen to it and it'll bring me right back to that state of mind. It's kind of beautiful. It's kind of crazy. You're literally putting your life force essence into a piece of art, dude. And it's fucking beautiful.
That I like to use my compression, you know, in steps, right? And kind of like a signal flow, because I don't want my compression to be done all in one stage. So you'll see more of an example of that as we continue to go along, okay? So I use the FG2A because it has that tone that I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that is going to be smooth and an octo compressor, and this is kind of like that smooth, buttery compressor that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for something to necessarily throw this vocal super up front, but this is keeping it sitting and starting to control that dynamic right there, all right? The next thing I have is an SSL type of compressor. This is another one from...
Dang, my phone just died, so I can't read the chat, but it's outside to chat. Sorry. Okay. Now we got the reverb.
The number one thing that started making my vocal mixes stand out was making my reverb buses extremely unique. That and knowing how to blend them into a song was a game changer. And let me tell you, we're gonna get deep into the blending with these 10 tips. Where's my Oscar? Tip number 1, use buses, not inserts. If you have several vocal tracks, you'll want to make sure that they're living in the same place, in the same room. Sending all your vocal tracks to one track to be processed by one reverb is the way to go. You'll see on this bus, I have my reverb plugin, the Arturia Rev Plate 140, a terrific plate reverb that emulates the iconic EMT 140. I'll be getting more into this plugin a little bit later in the video. It's an incredible reverb. To get started, I'll send the signal from each vocal track to it. If you have several different reverbs on multiple tracks, it's going to be way harder to control, and it's going to bog down your computer. Blending in your reverb with the fader is way easier to control and easier to automate, which I'll get into a little bit later. Now that you've got your reverb on one track and you're sending all your vocals to it, it's time for tip 2. EQ that verb. EQing before going into your reverb is a great way to reduce muddiness in the low end and any sharpness that might be bouncing around really fast in the high end. Cutting out the low and high end before going through the reverb is actually known as the Abbey Road trick. Cut up to 600 hertz with your high pass filter and between 6 and 10K with your low pass. Notch out a tiny amount around 2 to 4K.
I feel like the only reason why it's known is that, and I could be wrong. Shouts out to Abbey Road. I feel like the only reason why it's called that is just because that Abbey Road's studio had access to certain recording technology before a lot of other people did, and they just got to. Like, I feel like this is a pretty obvious thing to do to remove the low end before a reverb. Like, he's acting like he's Albert Einstein. What if we removed the low end before the reverb? And just like, everyone's like, "What? Are you serious, Paul? Yeah. What if we removed? What if we removed the low end before the reverb? Well, right. That's a good idea.
If you want. That'll help reduce any harshness that might be bouncing around up there. Check out the difference. Here are the vocals going through the reverb with no EQ.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number. I can't see this way.
Yeah, it's way cleaner and a lot less harsh. You can also use EQ after the reverb plugin, but I
All these people's music sounds so funny in the two.
find that using the EQ before helps.
I'm disconnecting and reconnecting. Oops, it disconnected and now it's reconnecting. Using EQ before reverb maintains the natural count of the reverb. Interesting. Wow. That's a good tip right there. That's a good tip. Now I'm not gonna lie, I've never even really thought of this. I usually EQ after reverb. It's very interesting. Okay. What was another tip? Oh yeah, busting air pre-cleared. Okay. What was another thing? I hate to say it, but he said mono little altar boy. Turn change. I'm gonna put a question mark next to this because that one's questionable. Because putting it on the main track, I feel like it's a little crazy. But that is just my opinion. I don't know. This one of the guys said this. Lots of imaging. Lots of imaging, huh?
Sidechain compression, you'll be able to trigger compressor to reduce the gain on your reverb, but only when the vocals are playing. You can do this by sidechaining your main vocal to a compressor that lives after your reverb plugin. Now you'll notice the compressor is only working when the vocals are playing.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name.
You might be thinking,
Isabel, but the vocals are already coming through that channel.
You're right, but it's going through the reverb first. By sending a dry signal to the compressor, you'll duck the reverb only when the singing happens, and keep those sweet reflections after the phrase is complete. Here's the vocal without the compressor.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean
So the reverb is pretty much washing throughout, and here it is with the compressor.
Just cause I don't want you.
Okay, here we go. We knew that they would come. Sidechain reverb. Plus 2 vocals. And I would say time calc for tag sustain release times. These are not my goals. Copy that. Gotta paste that Johnson there. Delete that Jeremy. Okay, here we go. Okay.
You, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name.
And now the vocal is a lot clearer, and afterwards you get that nice wash from the reverb. Tip 4 has to be one of my favorites. That's because the options and possibilities are endless.
You, just you, building your app. on base 44. Describe it. And it's real.
Effects before.
What would I describe? Giant giant slime website. Just a website just dedicated to slime. Everything slime. Or like a website where like everything is just like, yeah, slime.
Or reverb. Any effect is going to shape the dry sound coming in and hit the reverb a bit differently for a unique flavor. For example, let's take a distortion plugin and add it before the reverb. I'm going to add the Lander Effects voice plugin. Boom. Total distortion. Let's blend it in and see how it's affecting the reverb.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number.
Whoa. I'm going to solo the aux reverb track to have a closer listen.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number.
And boom. For example, let's take a distortion plugin and add it before the reverb. I'm going to add the Lander Effects voice plugin. Boom. Total distortion. Let's blend it in and see how it's affecting
Wait, she's adding distortion before the reverb?
the reverb.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number.
Whoa. I'm going to solo the aux reverb track to have a closer listen.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number.
Fancy. And just like that, you're taking a normal verb and adding your own unique spin on it to make your vocals stand out. Tip 5. Use different reverbs for different sections of your song. Separate your vocal tracks based on the sections of the song and then send each of those to a different reverb. On the chorus reverb, I'm going to make it a little less wide and I'm going to decrease the decay time a little bit. It's a little drier, it's a little bit more up front. And then on the verse vocal, I'm going to send it to bus 2. And on that reverb bus, I've got a much wider reverb and the decay time is quite a bit longer. So it's going to be really washed out, really spacey, or a totally different vibe compared to the chorus. Let's have a listen to the difference between the chorus and the verse vocal reverb.
Go ahead and call me a pessimist. Maybe I'm a realist. Talk to me. If you wanna talk, boy, you're dreaming, living out a fantasy.
You can really hear the difference between the chorus and the verse. Tip 6. Automate your reverbs.
That was an automation line.
If you really like a single reverb for your entire song and want to keep the same characteristics throughout, then automate your reverb fader. For your choruses, bring it down, and for your verses, boost it up. Alternatively, you can also automate the amount of vocal being sent to the reverb. In the case of this Arturia Rev Plate 140 reverb plugin, I can actually automate the plate models. That could be interesting for different sections or even different phrases. Check what parameters exist on your reverb plugin and consider automating them. By the way, if you're digging the Arturia Rev Plate 140 plugin and the Lander Effects plugins, check them out here.
Honestly, it's so funny, like memorizing so many plugins, because a lot of times.
Tip 7 is all about
you're just memorizing the name of an actual piece of outboard gear.
throws. Vocal reverb throws. Vocal throws are all about highlighting a specific phrase or even a syllable and accentuating it with a burst of verb. This works really well when you have an empty space after a phrase and want the vocal to continue to fill up that space. The best way to do this is to select the phrase you want to highlight, duplicate it to a second track, and throw a reverb on that is set to 100%. Now blend it in with the fader, or you can even automate the reverb to get even more selective.
It doesn't mean.
Awesome. Here's before the throw.
Want you, babe, it doesn't mean.
And here it is with the throw.
Want you, babe, it doesn't mean.
Really fills out that space. Tip 8, pan your reverbs. This is another way to create extremely wide and unique spaces for your vocals. Set up 2 mono buses and pan 1 hard left and 1 hard right. Send your vocals to both buses equally. Now you can put 2 completely different reverbs on each channel. On my left channel, I've got a room reverb with a pretty long decay, and on my right channel, I've got a darker reverb with a medium decay. Now let's try blending them both in.
Just cause I don't want you, babe, it doesn't mean I won't find another. I don't wanna know your name. Don't need your drinks, no. You can keep your number.
That's huge! On the topic of space, we have tons of room for more subscribers. And notice that many of our viewers aren't actually subscribed. Hit that bell, that thumbs up, and show us some love in the comments. It'll help get this video to more people. Road to 121K! Tip 9, use pre-delay. Pre-delay is how long it takes the reverb plugin to start processing the signal. To get a natural sounding reverb, setting the pre-delay is crucial. Humans like you and I are accustomed to hearing a certain amount of delay before hearing the reverb. Many professional audio engineers set their reverb according to the tempo of the song that they're working on. On your reverb plugin, you'll notice that it's often set by milliseconds. You can use an online BPM to milliseconds calculator to figure out the correct amount of milliseconds that you should set your pre-delay to, depending on what you're going for.
You can do this with compressors too. Yes. Let's put it to 69. Okay. But what if it was 420 though? Nice. What if it was 25? Let's go. Let's go. W.
When you're setting your pre-delay, think 0 to 10 milliseconds would be a small space, 10 to 20 milliseconds would be a medium space, and anything above 20 milliseconds would be a large space. Finally, tip 10, know what sound you want. I gave a ton of info in this video, but at the end of the day, make sure you know what sound you're going for, depending.
I feel like my question was not answered by that, but it's cool. That was some cool tips. How to get perfect reverb every time. How do I do it? Tell me. Tell me.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Devon in raw form, and welcome to another Help Me Devon raw tutorial. And today, in this Help Me Devon tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to get a perfect reverb time every time. Now, this video is an updated version to a video that I did some time ago with a slight miscalculation, but I promise if you guys stick with me, I'm going to show you a technique that was passed down to me from some legendary engineers as far as their way of how they get a baseline of establishing reverb times. Now, when I say this, I'm referring to the pre-delays and the reverb times, or the decays, where it allows you to figure out how to make something breathe within the music, where it starts and ends in time with your music. And this is very important because this will avoid you having buildups in your music when you're using reverb, so you don't overly do this. And this is a very powerful technique that is based on BPMs, so this will go according to every single song. It will be different for every single song, but I'm going to show you this technique that I've always used to give me a starting point and an idea of how I want it to sound and feel and getting my reverbs in time. Let's get right to it. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to play you the song. This is one of my own songs. This is called You Trippin'. It's out on all streaming platforms. I'm going to play you the song. I want you to take a listen to it. Let's just listen to the vocals in context with the music. Listen close.
I can see you on the way, yeah. Taking pictures and you feeling great, yeah. You acting different when you in LA, yeah. You in a mood, you feeling great, yeah.
Okay, so you heard the song for what it is.
Yeah, I like the pans.
It's that reverb.
Like the stereo vocals. Is it like right here? The lead's like right here.
Reverb is what I felt was suited best for the song and things of that nature. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and show you what I'm really talking about as far as how I use a special technique to get a reverb that was arguably perfectly in time. So check this out. So this go around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo the vocal, and what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to how this vocal ends. So the way this vocal ends after the phrase is done, I want you to pay attention to that, and then I want you to pay attention to how it comes in on the next one. What you'll realize is when the vocal ends, the reverb dissipates right at the beginning of the next phrase, and that's what's so powerful about having it in time, because now that it's going on in time with the actual tempo of the song, it ends and starts at great places where it kind of doesn't allow it to build up on top of the next phrase. Stay with me, I got you. Okay, so I'm going to solo this, and I want you to listen to this very closely. So listen to how this ends and how the next phrase starts.
You in a mood or you feeling great, yeah. Girl, I see you travel different, yeah.
So you saw when that vocal ended, you felt it come down, and then the next one came in without any disturbance from the vocal that previously just left it. And that's because I have it in
Girl, I see you travel different? What?
Time with the actual music. How did we get to this place? How do we do this? And how can we always use this for our songs to give us an idea of...
Does she have like a spacecraft or something like that? Like, how is she traveling?
Timing as far as reverb are concerned. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys to comment, like, subscribe. Also, make sure you visit helpmedevon.info at any time during this video so that you can get some of our goodies, vocal chains, presets, just like this one. I actually use one of our vocal chains for this very, very song right here that you can grab over at helpmedevon.info. Take a look. Let's get back to the song. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll on over here to my reverb. And I'm going to go over here. And the reverb that I use for this song is the Valhalla Vintage Verb, one of my favorite reverbs. It's a very common reverb that a lot of us use. Understand what the pre-delay is and what the decay is on your reverbs. These are probably the two of the more common functions or knobs or parameters that you see on your plugins as far as the reverbs are concerned. Okay, your decay. When it comes to your decay, the other word that you'll see for it is reverb time. When it comes to your decay, it's basically saying how long do you want this reverb sound to last. So this is basically when you're looking at the tail or how long or how huge that reverb is going to sound. This is a good place to say to yourself, I'm going to manipulate this parameter, and that's the decay knob. Now, when it comes to...
Okay, we already learned all this shit. Okay, here we go. Now we know how to get vocal to sit on top of mix. Tell me, computer. Every time. Tell me every time.
Hey, this is Joe with the Recording Revolution. Today we're going to tackle how to get vocals to sit in the mix. This is typically something that happens for me later in the mix during step 4. If you don't have a mixing process, I have a 5-step process that I use every time, whether it's 2 tracks or 200, and you can have it for free. Just go to recordingrevolution.com/5-step-mix to download your free copy. Early in my mix process, step 2 is when I do the static mix, which is all about just balancing volumes and panning.
Dude, what is up with producers always wearing black shirts with fucking white text on the middle, bro? I mean, what is up with that, bro?
What is this motion? But I typically ignore the lead vocal during this phase. Yeah, you could set levels and get it somewhere close, but I find that most lead vocals need a lot of work before they're going to even come close to sitting where they need to sit volume-wise. So I typically just have the lead vocal off or muted until I get to step 4, where I'll start doing the stuff we're going to talk about in this video. The 2 main tools we use to get the vocal to sit are EQ and compression. But real quickly, you may be wondering, what do you even mean by getting the vocal to sit in the mix? It's a little difficult to explain, but you've heard it 1,000 times. So think of your favorite album. In most genres of music, if this is the level of the overall instrumental music, the vocal is typically like right here. Generally speaking, it's maybe just a little bit louder than everything else, but it doesn't jump way up here, and it doesn't sound like it's a completely separate thing from the music, right? It's not so much louder than the music that it feels like it doesn't belong, but it's also not way down here where you have to strain to hear what the singer is singing, right? It finds that happy medium where it's not too quiet, not too loud. It's just right here in the middle. That's what we're talking about. The problem, of course, is the human voice doesn't naturally sit right there. It has a lot of fluctuation, and there's kind of 2 places where that fluctuation happens. The first is with frequencies, and that's more static, right? Every voice sounds different. Every microphone, every recording has certain frequencies that are accentuated or are missing, and we can deal with those with EQ. The second, of course, is compression. But let's start with EQ. So there are certain frequencies that cause a vocal to poke out of the mix more than others. So what I mean by that is you're listening to the mix, and it may be that the vocal sounds fine for 80% of the time, but there are certain notes that the singer sings or certain tones of the vocal that cause it to not sit right here nice on top of the mix, but to jump out. And those are things that we want to deal with. Now, you initially think jump out, deal with, those sound like words we would use to describe compressors, and that's true, but you can also deal with them with EQ, especially if it's just overall the vocal has too much of a certain frequency that's just prominent throughout the vocal, or every time the vocalist sings lower, it's this boomy mess down there. We'll deal with that with EQ so that the compressor doesn't have to deal with it, and then we'll add compression. So let me show you what that sounds like. The yellow track here is a raw, unmixed vocal, and you're hearing that over a finished mix of the instrumentals. Here's what that sounds like.
My head and heart move onward.
Problem is, our ears are weird. That's a problem. So listen to the soloed vocal.
My head and heart move on.
Sounds fairly balanced when soloed, but when we listen to it in the mix, it seems like most of what we hear is the lower frequency material, like the... It's just the way, it's either our ears or just the way things blend together. It ends up making the vocal sound a little bit muffled in the mix.
My head and heart.
So for most of the sounds, all we're hearing almost on the vocal are the lower frequencies. So that's why we're going to start with EQ here to balance that out. Because on certain notes, I'd like to turn the vocal up, but I can't because it already feels too loud because of those lower frequencies, right? So let's add an EQ here. I'll add Pro EQ. First thing I'll do is do a high-pass filter just to get rid of any kind of rumble there, and we'll do this in solo.
My head and heart move onward.
And that already thins up the vocal a lot. It seems aggressive, but go listen to any vocal release in the last couple decades, and you'll hear a nice, bright, clear vocal. But I do still feel like there needs to be some work here in this kind of low-mid range, so let's pull that down.
My head and heart move onward.
There's the warmth of the vocal, which is wonderful. It's a dynamic microphone, but it's too much. I don't want to get rid of it entirely, but I don't want it to be quite so prominent. So we're going to do a little bit of a cut here.
My head and heart move onward, embrace.
Feels pretty good. How's it sound in the mix?
My head and heart move onward, embrace.
Okay, so I cut a little around 500, 600 hertz as well. That feels pretty good. So now, at least frequency-wise, if we're just thinking in terms of the balance of the frequencies of the vocal, it seems to mesh with the rest of the instrument.
It's kind of got like a honkiness to his vocal, or the mic that I would take out. It's probably in like, yeah, I don't even know, probably like the 500 to 1K region, maybe 1 to 2K. I don't know. There's some honkiness, like that.
Instruments a lot better.
My head and heart move onward.
Now, volume-wise, we're still losing some of the notes, right? That's not something we're going to solve with compression. That's not something we're going to solve with EQ. We're going to solve that with compression. So let me add a compressor here. We'll just use the stock compressor. And for something like this, so think of compressors as trash compactors, right? Growing up, I never knew anyone who had one of these, but my parents had a trash compactor in the kitchen. So you would pull it out, you put your trash in, you push it in, and when it got full, you push a button and it would go and compress it down. Then you could put more trash in. So eventually it would be this super compacted like brick of trash that was almost impossible to get out and throw away. But that's kind of what compressors do. They take all these high peaks and they pull them down, get them under control, so then you can take everything, right? The low stuff's down here, the whispery falsetto stuff is down here, the high belty stuff is up here. If we switch the high belty stuff to here, then we can turn everything up like this. Now, this is louder, the low falsetto stuff is louder, and this stuff is still nice and loud.
Upwards and downwards compression.
But they're closer together, so we typically can hear them more. So I'm typically on a vocal going to use pretty aggressive compressor settings. So something like, 4 or 5 to 1, pretty quick attack, pretty quick release, so 10 and 50 or so. And I'm going to pull the threshold down until we're seeing a good chunk of gain reduction happening.
My hand and heart move onward.
So the louder parts I want to be pretty squashed. And then the quieter parts, whether they get compressed or not, I don't care as much because they're going to be turned up. So let's regain that volume that we lost using the makeup gain. And that means makeup gain to me is just, this is the thing that brings up the quiet stuff. We've turned the loud stuff down, so now we can lift up everything else. Okay, here we go.
My hand and heart move onward, embrace your voice, will promise.
You hear how that will promise, that's a whispered part, is almost the same volume as the loud part. That's the beauty of compression. Because now, if we listen in the mix, that vocal's probably going to be just sitting right there where it needs to sit.
My hand and heart move onward, embrace.
So he's just talking about normal compression. He's not. Has he talked about side chaining?
Your voice will promise.
We could probably even get a little more volume out of it.
My hand and heart move onward, embrace.
So that's about as much compression as I'll use on a single compressor. But if you feel like this is a bonus, if you feel like you could use a little more, but you don't want to add more compression here, you can add another compressor. Now, you may have fun compressors you want to use. This is just a stock compressor. But this is what I've called butter compression for years. It's kind of based on an old way of compressing on an SSL channel strip. So you bring the threshold all the way down, you bring the ratio all the way down, and you go like 50-50 on the attack and release. And then, right now it's not doing anything, right? Because the ratio is 1 to 1. Then you just slowly increase the ratio, probably something like 1.2 to 1. And it's going to be basically compressing everything a little bit. And it adds this nice kind of smoothing element to kind of, it balances nicely with the previous compressor, because this one, if I mute everything, this one is hitting all the peaks, right? The peaks are getting slammed. It's an aggressive compressor. It's what you think about when you think about compression. This one, if we bring the ratio up a little bit, is not really getting peaks as much as it's just anytime the vocal is singing, it's doing a little bit of squishing. And you can see that here. Partially because it's only working on the vocal after it's gone through the first compressor. But it can be pretty pleasant to listen to. So let me just I just made all my adjustments without even listening to it, which is kind of fun. But let's listen to it now. I'll leave the second compressor off, then I'll turn it on.
My hand and heart move onward, embrace. Your voice will promise. Voice will promise.
That will promise felt more like it was sitting in one spot than going, will promise. Listen to it again. Here it is without.
Voice will promise.
Those lower frequencies went woo, woo, woo. Now with the second compressor, it's a lot more smooth volume-wise.
Voice will promise.
So you can see how the compressor is interacting with certain frequencies and helping tame them a little bit. If you get to this point,
I'm not a fan of this fucking video. Let's see if AI can tell me. How do I get a vocal to sit on top of or cut through the mix and use advanced techniques. Let's go. It's not magic. All right, thank you. It's a combination of frequency carving, dynamic control, spatial placement, and psychoacoustic tricks. The vocal cuts through when everything else gets cut out of the way, and when the vocal is shaped to feel forward, stable, and bright without harshness. Below is a structured, advanced, engineer-level workflow you can apply immediately. Thank you, AI. Start with the foundation, gain, tone, dynamics. A set proper gain station. Okay. This gives compressors and saturators room to work without clipping. Let's go. I feel like I probably go against this. I probably start pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. Surgical subtractive EQ. Remove what? Oh, he's doing the TZO chain right now. AI is using TZO chain. Okay. Okay. High pass. Here we go. We get a little high pass. A little. Yep. Team, okay. How many decibels though? 1 to 3 decibels. See, that's what I was talking about. 1 to 3 decibels, not 10 decibels. Okay. For 2 compressors in series, 1176. Opto LA2A style. Interesting. Fast FET. Opto. What the fuck is that? Opto. Don't know what the fuck that is. This combo keeps the vocal forward and consistent without sounding crushed. Sidechain the vocal into guitars. To the dynamics to dip 2 to 5 and these. Oh yeah, because that's the speech. That's the speech area of your brain. Okay, so yes. This is cooking. It's cooking. Everything except kick bass, maybe tom should be high pass. Okay. Advanced psychoacoustic trip. Parallel saturation. So we're going tips. Side chain. 1K to 5K box to other elements. Okay. Parallel saturation, and I think this is similar to the air busing that we were listening to. And blend in a saturated duplicate of the vocal. Deep saturation, soft, tube signal, exciter, bright. This adds harmonic content that cuts through the dense mixes. It's cooking, dude. This is all shit I've been saying. Micro pitch widening. Interesting. That's what he was doing with the little altar boy. I've never heard of this. Pitch shift. This makes the vocal feel bigger without stepping on the center image. But wouldn't it be slightly detuned? A 10 to 30 millisecond delay, pan slightly left, right. Micro pitch widening. The fuck? I've never heard of that. A 10 to 30 air band boost. Use a high shelf at 10 to 16K, 1 to 3 decibels to add expensive sparkle. Ooh, expensive sparkle. I like expensive sparkle on my vocals. Reverb and delay that don't bury the vocals. Use short, bright reverbs. Plate reverb. High pass at 200, 300. Low pass at 6 to 8K. Okay. Reverbs and delays that don't sidechain the reverb to the vocal. It's cooking. Chat, it's cooking. We've been learning this. Use delays instead of long reverbs. Automation, the real pro move. Even the best EQ and compression won't keep a vocal on top without automation. Automation volume. De-essers. I haven't even I mean, I kind of do this, but I haven't even really been intentional about this. What the freaking heck? Well, actually, no, that's not true. That's pretty obvious. Mirror sense. Yeah, I guess it's just obvious. It's just more dynamics. The final polished chain, pro level. Okay. Let's see if we recognize any of these. Okay. A typical modern vocal chain might look like HPF. High pass. Okay, so high pass filter plus a subtractive EQ. Okay, a FET compressor What's a FET compressor? The fuck is an FET compressor? A FET compressor. What the fuck is a FET compressor? A FET compressor is an audio. Why is it an? It should be a FET compressor is an audio compressor that uses a field effect transistor to control gain, providing fast, punchy, and characterful compression. Field effect transistor compressor is a type of analog audio compressor that uses a field effect transistor as the core element to control the level of an audio signal. Unlike other compressors, FET compressors are known for their fast attack times. Huh? Field effect transistor compressors. What is a field effect transistor? Matches the source terminal, passes through the body of that FET, and exits at the drain terminal. FET compressors react faster than tube or optical compressors. Interesting. They keep sharp transients. They emulate the harmonic richness of tube compressors, adding subtle distortion and character to the sound. Okay. Oh, the 1176. Okay. So it's fast. Okay, I'm just think of it like a fast compressor. That's what I'm gonna think of it as. An optical. What is an optical compressor? FET compressors and optical compressors are two types of audio compressors that differ in their design and sound characteristics. These use field effect transistors to control gain reduction. They are known for their fast attack times and can provide a punchy, aggressive sound, making them suitable for drums and vocals. Optical compressors, these utilize a light dependent resistor and a light source to control gain reduction. They tend to produce a smoother, more musical compression, which is often preferred for vocals and instruments. Well, what the freaking heck? Like, how do I... What is a field effect transistor? Is a type of semiconductor device that controls the flow of a current between two terminals. Okay. Semiconductor device that controls the flow of a current between two terminals using a electric field applied to a third terminal gate. It is a voltage controlled device, meaning on-off. 1010, meaning the gate voltage determines how much current flows through the channel. Right? Am I tripping? Am I... The voltage determines how much current flows. Okay. Maybe then not ones and zeros. Is it non-binary or is it binary? I don't know enough about this shit. I need to know more about it. Low gate voltage represents zero, high voltage. Do not inherently use binary. Binary is a numbering system used to represent data. However, in digital electronics, FETs are used to implement binary logic. Okay. Now, okay, I get it. I get it. On off, like a light switch. High input impedance, they draw very little current. So a field effect transistor is a type of semiconductor that affects the flow of energy through it via a gate. And then a optical, what's it called? What's a light-dependent resistor? A light-dependent resistor is a component whose resistance decreases as the intensity of light falling on it increases. Photocell is a passive electronic component that changes its resistance based on light exposure. In darkness, a LDR exhibits. Wait, so how do you emulate this digitally? So it's based on how much light it gets is how much? I don't understand this part. Am I looking at the wrong thing? Uses optical compressors use a light source. An electro-optical attenuator, which means they convert an electrical audio signal into light, then use that light to control how much gain is reduced. How they use light in an optical compressor, part of the incoming audio signal is fed into a light source. Historically, an incandescent bulb, now often LED. As the input signal gets louder, the light source becomes brighter. When the signal is quieter, the light dims. The light passes through or onto a light-dependent resistor or photoconductive cell. The brightness of the light changes the resistor of the sensor. Okay, so one is using electrical information, and the other is using light information that's reacting to some type of chemical or element, right? Chemical, it's like calcium or something like that. Right? Because light sources and sensors have thermal inertia and response time, the compression is smooth and gradual, giving a musical attack and release. Ooh, I see. I understand. So it's like it's kind of smoother and delayed because of the light source, whereas the other one it's a more instantaneous because it's electrical using exact voltages. See, it's helpful to go down these things. Okay, so this one's fast, this one's smooth. De-esser, pulling down the semblances of the S's, right? Tone EQ, gentle boosts. Interesting. What is this tone EQ? What is a tone EQ? A tone EQ is an audio processing tool that lets you adjust the balance of different frequency ranges in a sound, especially shaping its tone. Lets you adjust the balance of different frequency ranges in a sound, especially shaping its tone. EQ, choose the frequency. Think of change instead of changing the. Oh, okay. I see what it's saying. So this is how your waveform is dressed. This is the fit you're putting on your waveform. This is the swag you're putting on it. Okay. Saturation, cider, limiter. I see before I see. You never see that in those videos. Did AI break into my brain? Okay, here we go. Excuse vocal. You want me to build you a custom vocal chain? I can tailor it to genre. Thank you. But I'm all good. I'm gonna build my own. Okay. What do we got so far? Autotune, Melodyne, Full Tech, or EQ? Pro Q. I would go Pro Q. Autotune, Melodyne, Pro Q. 1176. Got a 404. I like OTT personally. You can use Maximus if you have FL. Okay. Vintage trip. We need a good delay. Parallel compression. Oh, what was it? The MV2. Or fresh air. People sleep on fresh air. Okay. Tell me how to use this. What's the shortest video?
The Edition Essential offers the basic Melodyne functions for pitch and timing at an affordable price, making it the ideal point of entry into the world of Melodyne.
Because with the Essential tools, you can already do all kinds of things, with the sound quality and ease of the big editions. What exactly? You'll see now.
Essential's Combi tool changes different characteristics of the note, depending on which part of the note you click on, and in which direction you drag the mouse. Dragging upwards or downwards, for example, shifts the pitch of the note, initially in steps of a semitone. Instead of a chromatic grid, you can move notes up or down a scale, or shift them to fit the chords of the song. You determine what the prevailing key is, as well as the chord sequence. With the Alt key, you can override the grid and alter the offset in cents from the nearest note. A speciality for vocals. Here, you can make the sibilants visible. We don't just mean S's, but percussive consonants too, and the sound of the singer inhaling. All vocal sounds the singer can't pitch. They move right along with the blobs in the display. But acoustically, their frequencies aren't altered. This is the natural behavior of the human voice. And here's how you edit the timing of notes. Click in the middle and drag left or right. Either with the grid activated, then the fine offset is preserved. Or with the Alt key overriding the grid. If you drag the front of the note, you change its starting point, this way stretching or squeezing the note. Drag the back to change its endpoint. Here too, sibilants get special treatment. An S at the beginning or end of a word is never stretched or squeezed along with the rest. The only change is at the length of the pitch component that a singer would naturally draw out to make a note longer, or cut short if the tempo.
The only issue is it's never this big. You always have it like super small, like right, super scrunched down. So you got like so hard to get it right.
Quickened. The length of each breath, on the other hand, is something you can vary, just as a real singer can. Surrounding notes adjust automatically so that no gaps are created. Neighboring notes also react when you shift the pitch with natural portamento so that no unwanted leaps occur. All this works too with multiple selections. Each of the notes affected moves automatically to its proper place. If you place the combi tool slightly above a note, you can slice it in two. Here, for instance, I'm separating the breath noise from the rest of the note. Or remove existing note separations. The correct pitch macro saves you the trouble of editing notes one by one. With it, you can reduce the deviation of all the notes selected by varying amounts as appropriate. With the slider at its rightmost extreme, all offsets are reduced to 0. Notes going naturally sharp or flat can be leveled by varying degrees with the pitch drift slider. With the quantized time macro too, you can regulate the intensity. For amplitude differences, there's the leveling macro. Drag this slider to make quiet notes louder. And this one to make loud notes quieter. You can squeeze the dynamic range from either or both ends. Now to the other tools. You can move the working area like this. Virtual remote control of the two scrollers. With a magnifying glass, you can control the zoom level. Drag horizontally, vertically, or diagonally to zoom both axes simultaneously. Double-click on a note selection to zoom in on it. Double-click outside the selection to zoom back out. It is also possible to open the toolbox by right-clicking and change tools using keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, what's new in Melodyne? Tell me.
Now in Melodyne 5, new technologies for better results and less time. Experience a breakthrough in vocal processing with the new sibilant detection. Sibilants and breaths are detected and marked automatically, and only changed optically, not acoustically, when notes are moved. This accords with the nature of the human voice, so the results sound particularly authentic, and you're spared all the snipping and slicing that was necessary before. Also with timing, the only thing stretched is what the singer would stretch, the pitched part of the syllable. Sibilants and percussive consonants are left untouched. All users benefit from this, from Melodyne Essential App. Now vocals sound even more natural, and they're dead easy to optimize. With full control of dynamics from Melodyne Assistant Up. Suppress S sounds, or emphasize them. Anything's possible on lead, dub, or harmony vocals. They all will benefit from it. And incidentally, it's also the perfect de-esser. It's child's play to use, tightly focused on the problem zones, and in no way compromises the rest of the vocal sound. Also new, musically weighted intonation detection. Now double-clicking in the pitch macro deliver the right results instantly. New functions also for amplitude control. Add fades, even to individual notes, even in polyphonic material. And the new leveling macro for more even dynamics. And Melodyne 5 further accelerates your workflow. The chord track provides the ideal musical context, with the pitch grid reflecting the chord sequence. So when you move notes, they snap to pitches that suit the song. Great for restructuring vocal lines, and everything else as well. Make any sample fit any song, all with a simple double click. Even better for vocals, and completely new possibilities for composing and arranging. That's Melodyne 5. Time for a major update.
What the fuck? What did I just watch? What does he say? Something tonal? How tonalic actually works inside Cubase? What he just made of synth? What the fuck?
Vocals in Melodyne, that's state-of-the-art. But even the best things can be improved. Our legendary vocal algorithm now offers even more possibilities, delivering exceptionally musical results in far less time. Sibilants appear in all lyrics. Here, for instance, there's an S at the beginning of the word. And here's another. These...
Alright, we just watched this. Okay. We gotta think, what else is there to know when it comes to vocal mixing? I feel like, have I sped-run it? Have I gotten to the end? Okay, now let's build our chain. Let's go. Wizard vocal chain. That's what we're doing here. Wizard vocal chain. Start 1. We're doing Melodyne. 2. Oops. Auto tune. 3. Pro Q3 subtractive high pass filter. Okay. And after that, we're going into an 1176 gray compressor. And then after that, we are going into my favorite is OTT. And then after that, I like to go into a Studer tape emulator, or yeah, I don't know really any better one, honestly. Maybe some of these other ones up here that I haven't used. But the Aphex, maybe, I don't know. They seemed like they liked that one. But anyways, Studer tape Emulator. And then I like the LA2A as my limiter. Multi-band. Fast comp. Warm. Fast comp. Warm. LA2A is limiter. Am I forgetting? Oh yeah, DSR. DSR should probably go after RTT. DSR. Pro. Yes. It's my DSR. Okay, so we got our 8. And then our bus 1. Valhalla. Plus sidechain. 2 Vox. So reverb. Alright, bus 2. I like to do the waterfall Wurlitzer. Amp thingy. And that's our stereo goodness. And then our bus 2 is our brightness. And I'm gonna go Pro Q3 to a fresh air. Or a soothe. Okay, high pass filter. Bus 4 is delay. I like echo boy. Oh yeah. Pro Q3 plus, and then maybe Pro Q3. Okay. Is that the chain? I feel like that's a pretty basic chain right there. So after the research we've done, I'd say optional to this. Let's put this right here. I don't know what plugin to really use with that. I'd say this is like the. I don't even know if I'd put this, but this one is just like the optional one. Okay, so this is from what my research that I've done. The other one that's here is like The 404 or Maximus. But if I just keep in my chain, it's this. Yeah, I guess we made the chain. Shouts out to everybody. We did it. I can't really think of anything else to add, but I had a good time, and I hope that you guys did as well, and I hope that you come back to this video and try to speedrun learn how to make really good vocals as well. My next video, I'm going to try out some of these more other plugins. Maybe parallel compression for Bus 5. And that was MV2. I'd probably still just use OTT, but that's just me, because I'm a simple man. But yeah. Shouts out to Wizard Gang. Good chilling with y'all. Feel free to rip this chain. And yeah, it was fun learning all this shit. I'm gonna keep speedrunning more topics. The next one I'm gonna do is mastering. So hop into my next live. I'm gonna be speedrunning, learning, mastering. So see y'all later.